beauty, I suppose, of what we did last week was developing, initially developing this observer part of ourselves. The ability to step back and notice what's going on. And that begins the process of separating us in terms of who we are, our identity, from the thoughts a bit. I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the emotions, I'm not even the physical feelings I have. I was just saying to somebody I was working with today, when I was walking the Camino de Santiago, every step was like somebody was stabbing the soles of my feet. My blisters were so sore. And she says, well, how did you do it? I said, well, you just keep walking. Transcend the pain. I'm not the pain. But she couldn't quite grasp that concept. But it's basic, isn't it? That's the choice we have. It's a choice. Normally if somebody says, how are you today? And you say, well, I've got a headache. They say, well, you must be, you're not great then, are you? It's logical, isn't it? Whereas if someone says, how are you today? And you say, I've got a headache, but I'm good with it. It's a different language, isn't it? It's a different way of approaching it. Because you're sort of acknowledging that this is here, but it's not taking me away from the chair. It's not it. It's not taking me away from the chair. And our theme tonight is working with the thinking mind. And, I use the term thinking mind to distinguish it from mind. Because in the East, mind means the whole body. Just to make that, for them, mind is what we would call soul, or the whole thing, For us, when we say mind, generally we just refer to this bit up here. So I call it the thinking mind. And working with the thinking mind is very important. And the language we use is even more important. So, during the week I had a group who were doing some walking meditation. Then the walking meditation would go really slowly. Sometimes we do the mantra, just really slowly, to slow everybody down. And then I sped it up a bit. And then I slowed it down again. And then I sped it up a bit. And we got back into the room, and this man, I said, how was that? This man goes, I didn't like that exercise. I didn't like the fact that you sped it up again. Were you doing it on purpose? And I said, yes, I was, but it didn't work for me. Now that's, there isn't mindfulness there. He got caught up in the feelings and the stuff that was going on in the exercise. He got caught up in that, didn't he? It took him off the chair. It didn't work for me. He said, do you know what, I just kind of gave up halfway through and I wanted to come back in. And then I looked around the room. This other one said, well, I loved the exercise. She's been with me for years. But not long enough either, because I said, well, both of you are wrong in how you're using your language for the thinking mind. Because that's what we do. I liked this, I didn't like it, I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it, it was comfortable, it wasn't comfortable. We've been brought up in that dualistic type of thinking. So we divide everything, the ego divides everything into things we like, pleasure, and things we don't like, pain. And we spend all our energy pushing away the things we don't like and trying to cultivate the things we do. And that's the nature of addiction, as we saw last week with the chairs. Chasing after the pleasure and fighting with the things that we don't like so much. So in this work, I said to the man, I said, how about this? I said, how about starting the sentence with, I noticed. So I noticed, John, when you changed the pace of the exercise, I felt frustrated. Yeah? And he said, okay, I can take that, And And I said, what did you do with that frustration? Did you make friends with it? And he goes, no, obviously not. And that's what happens, isn't it? I said, if you were able to then say, I notice I'm getting frustrated now within myself, can I make friends with that? Now I'm getting really angry, can I make friends with that? And continue with the exercise, that would have been perfect. Because everything belongs. But what happened to him, there was some part of him that didn't like feeling angry or frustrated. And so when he feels angry or frustrated, what does he do? He makes it about whatever he's engaged in, instead of recognizing that this anger or frustration is just emptying out. Everything belongs, isn't it? Everything belongs. So can I make friends with whatever is arising? And it's tricky language, but consciousness follows the words that we use. So even when I'm speaking, I choose it might sound, maybe I sound funny, but I'm always choosing the words that I say. Or at least attempting to, so that they're following, I'm trying to be authentic in how I'm communicating in a way that is non-judgmental. Non-judgmental. And that's the tricky part. So when we move to work with the thinking mind, it tries to divide everything in two. That's its nature in many ways, me and you, that sense of separateness. But, and that's fine, but also the judgment comes in, and that's when we're in trouble. So it's almost like, how can I get a hold of that thinking mind and use the observer part of it to help me to not judge, to not separate, and to just allow whatever to be there, to acknowledge whatever's going on to be there. And I suppose then at a deeper level, from a spiritual point of view, I'm no longer creating separation between myself and other. So you see that a lot, I could never be like him, or I could never be like her, or I could never even do that. And of course it's like I remember years ago, I was in a development group and everyone was so polite on the first evening, and the facilitator said, you're all so polite. She said, if we kept you here for a week and starved you, and then threw a pan of bread in the middle, it would be interesting to see what would happen. Thank God that didn't happen, but it's in many ways we create this separation all the time by judging between myself and other. And it can be very challenging as well, I could be that homeless person. I could be the abuser. I could be the robber. I could be the victim. I could be any of these things because I'm a human being, And I was very moved one time by meeting someone who had been abused, and she worked in the rape crisis centre with people, other women as well, as a counsellor. And then she went to work with 1 in 4. And then she went to work with perpetrators. She went to work with paedophiles then after that. And I said, how can you work with people who do that? And she said, well, because I don't judge them, I accept them as they are. And there was such healing in the work that she did for the people themselves. It was tremendous. It just drew out, things in them. Because she had there was such incredible compassion and acceptance in her. So that's the kind of freedom we want. Maybe that's not your goal, but just in terms of our everyday life, that sense of freedom and peace. Because I'm not struggling with anything then. I'm just noticing it.